This is Joseph Castorina, a man who should not have been at this house in the dead of night. A protective order was meant to keep him away from his ex-girlfriend, Jessica, and her family home. But that order held no power over him. Joseph lay in wait, concealed in the shadows, for the family to return from a Halloween party. What transpired next would send shockwaves through the community and ignite an international manhunt. Join us as we unravel the dark events of that fateful night. Before we delve into the grim details, we extend our heartfelt condolences to the families and loved ones of the Serrano, Green, and Perez families. It is just after 2:00 a.m. on the eve of Halloween. A frantic call echoed through the Arapahoe County 911 Center. Jessica Serrano reported that she had just returned home to discover her ex-boyfriend's car keys and jacket in her bedroom. Fear gripped her as she realized he might be hiding somewhere within the house. "What is your first and last name?" the operator inquired. "Jessica Serrano," she responded, her voice trembling. "I just found his jacket, jeans, and keys in my closet. I think he's hiding in the house." "Okay, just hold on a moment," the dispatcher urged, trying to assess the escalating situation. "Has anyone seen him in the house?" the operator pressed. "No," Jessica replied, her voice shaky. "But his stuff is here." "Understood. Have you looked around? Can you see him?" The dispatcher continued, seeking clarity. "No, I can't see him," Jessica replied, panic rising in her voice. "We believe he is hiding somewhere," the operator relayed. "How many people are in the house with you?" "4," she responded, her voice barely above a whisper. Patrol units raced to the Serrano residence. Among the first responders was Sergeant Paul Davis, who would play a critical role in the unfolding events. "Do you have cameras around your house?" he asked. "Yes," Jessica confirmed. "Did you see anything on the cameras?" The dispatcher continued. "Is anyone in the house showing symptoms of illness?" "We have that information here. We're heading out there now," she assured Jessica, hoping to calm her nerves. "What's going on, Jessica?" the operator asked, as fear seeped through the line. "Oh my God! What's happening?" Jessica cried out. "Don't hang up. Do you know who shot at the house? How many shots did you hear?" The operator pressed. "Was that another one? Oh my God!" Panic escalated. "Stay on the phone and keep away from the doors and windows," the dispatcher instructed urgently. "Where is everyone else?" the dispatcher asked, attempting to keep Jessica calm. "Take a deep breath. I have this under control. Help is on the way. Just stay on the line. Who is that yelling in the background?" "Do you know who is yelling?" the operator pressed. Okay, I have my phone." "Which room are you in? Are you in the bedroom or the basement?" the dispatcher inquired urgently. "The first room," Jessica replied. "Get down on the ground, on your stomach, for me." The call for help intensified as officers and emergency responders were alerted to the gunfire. More personnel swarmed to the scene, just minutes away. "I need you to speak a little louder if you can," the dispatcher urged. "Can you say your address a little bit louder? Hello? Can you hear me? Mom? Mom? Hello? Is anyone there?" the dispatcher asked, growing increasingly anxious. The horrific events were reaching their climax. Trapped in a bathroom, Jessica and Joseph faced their final confrontation. Would anyone emerge alive from this nightmare? "Oh my God! What are you doing?" Jessica's voice pierced the air, filled with fear. Ah. In a moment of sheer terror, Jessica screamed for mercy. "No, don't do it. Please." The desperation in her voice echoed through the house as she confronted the unimaginable. "What do you want to do?" she pleaded, her heart racing with fear. "No! No, 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 no." Jessica's screams echoed as she fought for her life. "No! No, 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 no." The terror in her voice was palpable, a haunting cry for help. As Joseph kicked open the bathroom door, Jessica summoned every ounce of strength and threw him into the bathtub. In a desperate bid for survival, she bolted from the room and fled the house, with Joseph hot on her heels. First, Jessica darted into the backyard, then raced back through the house and into the street. She frantically waved down a passing car, while Joseph sprinted in the opposite direction, heading north. Just as Sergeant Davis arrived, Jessica came running south, breathless and terrified. "All right, I'm in contact with a female." "What's wrong?" he asked urgently. "He shot my family," she cried out. "What do you mean he shot your family?" Davis pressed, trying to understand the chaos. "Stay right here." "All right, she just told me he shot her family." "Stay put for now." "Where is he?" Davis asked, his eyes scanning the vicinity. "He's over there," Jessica pointed, her fear palpable in the air. Amid the chaos, frantic voices echoed through the air. An officer shouted to the others, urging them to locate the fleeing suspect. "Over there. He's running. Northbound." Desperation filled his voice as he sought more information on the unfolding nightmare. Inside the house, the scene was a horror beyond imagination. 3 members of the extended Serrano family lay dead. Jessica's twin sister, Maria Anna Green, was among them, her life extinguished far too soon. The grim reality deepened as it was confirmed that Maria Anna had succumbed to 2 gunshot wounds. At the foot of the basement stairs lay her husband, Ken Green, dead from a single gunshot, presumably the first victim in this tragic event. Ambushed by Joseph Castorina, Jessica's father, Jesus Serrano, lay lifeless in the hallway, shot twice. Just minutes later, as officers cautiously checked for the gunman in the backyard, they stumbled upon a 4th body, that of Rudolfo Perez. A family friend who had been renting a camper from the Serranos reported the grim discovery. "I've got one down with a gunshot wound in the kitchen," he said urgently. "Get the female out of here." "Ma'am, you need to leave." "Come on, go outside." "Stay outside," officers urged, trying to maintain order amidst the chaos. The urgency of the situation weighed heavily on everyone present. In the midst of the turmoil, a child cried out, "Puppy! Puppy!" Officers scrambled to gather information, trying to piece together the chaotic scene. "What's he wearing?" one asked, noting the suspect's gray sweater. "I don't know," one of the witnesses recounted, trembling. "He wanted to kill me. I'm bleeding and have no more bullets." The urgency of the situation escalated as they sought to ensure everyone's safety. In a state of shock, Jessica could barely comprehend the gravity of the situation. "I don't know. Don't know? I don't know," she stammered, her voice shaking. "Stay here." "The girls." "The girls." Her heart raced with panic as she thought of her sister's children. "Where are the girls?" She cried out, her mind spiraling. "I want you to stay here." Overwhelmed with grief, she struggled to grasp the reality of her family's tragedy. "I just can't believe it," she whispered, the weight of loss crushing her spirit. Sergeant Paul Davis took charge, leading Jessica away from the grisly scene. He attempted to console her, offering what little comfort he could in that moment of despair. "My paw! My paw!" She cried out, her heart breaking. In a desperate plea, Jessica repeated her cries, "My paw! My paw!" Sergeant Davis responded gently, I know. I need you to relax for me, okay?" His voice was steady, hoping to soothe her as chaos swirled around them. "Please, just relax for me," he urged, trying to maintain her composure amidst the turmoil. "Hurry-ah!" I know. His words were a lifeline in a sea of confusion and horror. Frustration bubbled to the surface as another officer lamented the repeated calls about Joseph. "We always called you guys about him, always coming here, doing this and that," he said, exasperated. "You don't arrest him. His parents always bail him out." "It's always the same," the officer continued, frustration etched on his face. "This is frustrating." I know. His words reflected the deep-seated issues within the community and the cycle of violence. "Why? Why me?" Jessica's cries echoed her confusion and despair. "Why?" she repeated, her voice breaking. The weight of her family's loss was incomprehensible, and the anguish was palpable. "Why? Hurry up! She urged, tears streaming down her face. "Why do you act like that? Why?" As she tried to gather herself, others moved to provide assistance, hoping to ease her pain. Sergeant Davis, realizing the gravity of the situation, left Jessica in safer hands and re-entered the crime scene. As one of the most senior officers present, he stepped into an active leadership role, determined to manage the chaos. "How many do we have in there?" an officer inquired, assessing the situation. "The kids don't need anything." "I'm sorry, Mom. I think those 2 little ones are her sister's kids." There you are, another officer acknowledged, recognizing the children. Yes, I think those are her sister's kids. Oh, there's the sister. She's dead. Should we get those kids out? Yes, we're going to hold here. We're going to get them out in different ways, an officer explained, strategizing their next steps. We need to proceed as asked. We've completed a backyard search, but we haven't done a thorough check yet. Okay, so I did not conduct a backyard search, an officer acknowledged. How many are there? Is there a way to get them out without them seeing? Let's wrap them up in blankets. Cover their eyes and heads, an officer instructed as they prepared to escort the children from the scene. We'll take them right now, head to toe. They're okay? Yes, we're green. Jessica and the two young children were taken to a local hospital for treatment. Although none showed any physical wounds, the psychological scars from the night's horrors would linger long after. In the hospital, each child was placed under protective custody, a necessary precaution as Joseph remained at large. Their future felt uncertain, and the fear of his return loomed over them. The chilling reality settled in. Joseph was on foot, barefoot, and it was a cold night. Many of the yards in the neighborhood were fenced in, limiting his escape routes. One of the most likely hideouts was just a few blocks away, at his parents' house. The police swiftly cordoned off the entire neighborhood, hoping to prevent Joseph from escaping. A tactical group, including a canine handler, descended on the Castorina household. Sergeant Davis arrived at the Castorina home to lead the operation. Here's the deal, straight up and honest with you, he stated urgently. We want to get in contact with your brother before someone else, some other agency does. I would rather your brother be alive and under arrest than to be dead or shot because he does something stupid. Is there any way you can help us find out where he is? She replied, I already tried calling him, and my sister tried calling him too. He won't answer, she admitted, frustration seeping into her voice. Okay, does he have any social media that he might be using right now? Why would his phone be hidden? Why are we seeing things around here? She questioned, her anxiety mounting. What do you mean regarding where he was last located? Is his phone here? I don't know, she replied helplessly. Is there anyone he might be living with or someone's house he could be at around here? In a state of fear and anxiety, she confessed her nervousness. The officer, aiming to ease her mind, assured her, Don't be nervous around us. We're here to ensure that everything is all right. There's no one in danger inside your house. Her thoughts raced, circling back to her sister. And my sister? I haven't seen her, she exclaimed, recalling the last moment she saw Joseph. I saw him earlier before I left for work. What do you mean? How was that contact? I just saw him walk out the door. That's it, she admitted, her anger palpable. Okay, listen, I was angry. No, I think he said something about a haircut. The officer replied, All right, so here's the deal. If you're cold, I don't want you going back into the house. She hesitated, voicing her concern. I don't know if he's in there somewhere. He reassured her, I'm not going to arrest you or anything like that. I just don't want you going back inside. Please be compliant with us, okay? He urged, sensing her distress. The situation is concerning. I don't have my dad. He's the one that you can. He continued, emphasizing the urgency. My priority is the preservation of life, right? So, if you come out, maybe we can have you call the other females inside and ask them to come out of the house as well. Everyone that's in the house. Meanwhile, police were receiving ping results from Joseph's cell phone, indicating he was somewhere within a 900-meter radius of the Serrano home. This radius included his parents' home. Joseph's burgundy H2 Hummer had been located parked along a street between the two residences. Sergeant Paul Davis was able to maintain communication with everyone inside the house. I don't know. I just got home, and I noticed that my dad and mom were gone. They were here earlier. I called them to see what happened with Joseph. Her voice trembled. Okay, are you cold right now? Including Joseph's sister and mother, they provided insight into the complex relationship between Jessica and Joseph through a bilingual officer. After repeated calls for Joseph to come out, the time had come to enter the house and verify his presence. Sergeant Davis, leading the charge, reminded the officers the family has 2 dogs in the house, and every effort must be made to ensure they aren't harmed. Okay? The door is open. Come on, buddy, he urged as they began to usher the dogs outside. When the dogs are out, come here. Here, "Let me grab the dog," he said, instructing another officer. "Just take that and hold the door." "All right, Bobby, bring him up." "Thank you." "Stay right there, boys. Just hold that door. I've got the other dog," Sergeant Davis managed amidst the chaos. "Hey, get to the dog!" "You're welcome." Despite their efforts, the canine unit was released into the household but turned up nothing. There was no sign that Joseph was home. Officers streamed in behind the dog, searching room by room for the armed man. In a fleeting moment, Sergeant Davis's reflection caught the light in a mirror, encapsulating the horrific and tragic events of that night. He had worked tirelessly to console and care for both the victims of the crime and the family of the perpetrator. As he grappled with the looming threat of an armed murderer on the loose, Sergeant Davis was resolute in his pledge to serve and protect. On that harrowing night, Joseph had somehow slipped through the police cordon. Reports from officers in the area revealed they had heard a loud truck during the early chaos. As chaos engulfed the neighborhood, reports emerged of a truck speeding through the cordoned-off streets, gunshots ringing out in the night. The question lingered, was someone attempting to create a diversion, offering Joseph a chance to escape? Did he have an accomplice lurking in the shadows? The search for Joseph intensified. His phone continued to ping within a 900-meter radius, indicating he was still nearby. Eventually, investigators located Joseph's phone, discarded in the backyard of the Serrano home. Evidence mounted, suggesting he had retraced his steps through the house, hastily hopping the rear fence to make his escape. Police dogs scoured the neighborhood, their keen senses on high alert. Officers went door to door, seeking permission to search backyards, questioning residents about any unusual activity. A reverse 911 call resonated through the area, urging vigilance among those who lived nearby. An urgent alert echoed through the community, warning of an armed and dangerous man on the loose. Residents were instructed to shelter in place, locking their doors tight. In the aftermath of violence, the murder weapon, a 9mm Kimber handgun, lay ominously at the scene, accompanied by 9 shell casings, each bearing the fingerprints of the perpetrator, Joseph Castorina. Forensic analysis would later confirm that the shell casings found matched those linked to Joseph Castorina. In a disturbing twist, these casings were also connected to a stolen vehicle discovered months prior. The gun itself, a weapon with a troubling history, had been reported stolen at some point. The firearm, originally purchased by an individual in Iowa back in 2016, now held the grim weight of a violent crime. As daylight broke, a comprehensive search of the neighborhood commenced, with drones soaring high above, scanning the area for any sign of Joseph. The urgency to locate Joseph Mario Castorina, just 21 years old, was palpable among the officers. With the knowledge that he was armed, the concern for public safety loomed large, driving the relentless pursuit to bring him into custody. As the investigation unfolded, Interim Police Chief Daniel John Oates made a resolute statement. The urgency to apprehend Castorina was palpable. His photograph had been disseminated across social media platforms, revealing a distinct lion tattoo etched into the left side of his neck. The police appealed to the public and media alike for assistance, urging anyone with information to call 911 immediately. Every moment counted. With a history marred by domestic violence, Oates alluded to underlying tensions without delving into specifics. This incident, he suggested, was not an isolated event, but rather the culmination of a series of volatile interactions. The chilling reality was clear. Castorina was presumed armed and extremely dangerous. Speculation arose regarding the motive behind the violence. Some relatives hinted at a custody dispute that might have incited the attack. However, the children of Joseph Castorina and his domestic partner were far from the chaos, safe with family members out of state. Daniel John Oates shed light on the long and tumultuous relationship between Joseph and his ex-girlfriend, Jessica. Oates reiterated that the children were elsewhere, indicating the family's precarious situation. The toxic relationship between Joseph and Jessica had been a powder keg of jealousy and anger, marked by breakups and brief reconciliations. A closer examination of their relationship revealed troubling patterns. Though never married, they shared 2 children. Over the 2 years preceding the incident, jealousy and rage had consumed their interactions, leading to a series of explosive confrontations. In a twisted display of control, Joseph created fake Facebook accounts to lure Jessica into meetings, only to reveal his deception at the last moment. Each encounter escalated into further conflict, culminating in a situation so dire that Child Protective Services intervened just a week before the tragic events unfolded. All of these conflicts led to an escalating series of confrontations. The disputes grew so severe that Child Protective Services had to intervene just a week before the tragic killings, underscoring the volatile environment surrounding the shared children. The backdrop to this tragedy was rooted in violence. Jessica and her father, Jesus, had sought an individual protective order against Joseph after a particularly violent incident where he smashed her car windows and forcibly dragged her from the vehicle. The relationship between Jessica and Joseph had long been tumultuous. Jessica's mother recounted to a local news station, Fox 31 in Denver, how for 2 years, their volatile connection had spiraled, with law enforcement fully aware of the escalating tensions. In an emotional outcry, Jessica's mother lamented the sheer number of calls she had made, desperately seeking answers. Her anguish deepened as she recounted how neither she nor her daughters had received any communication, leaving her in the dark about the welfare of her granddaughters. In a desperate plea, Jessica's mother expressed her anguish, stating that no one had reached out to her. All she desired was justice, urging everyone to locate Joseph Castorina. Meanwhile, reports indicated that Child Protective Services had intervened, removing the children shared by Joseph and Jessica from their home. Just a day prior to the horrific killings, the question lingered, could this have triggered the explosive situation? As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that Joseph had fled north, away from the scene of his grisly crime. Yet, speculation arose that he might have headed south, potentially toward Texas, where his children resided. Alternatively, there was the unsettling possibility that he had crossed the border into Mexico, where family awaited him, having traveled there just the previous year for his grandfather's funeral. However, these theories seemed implausible for a man who had abandoned not only his vehicle, but also his shoes. Inside the Hummer, investigators discovered his wallet, complete with his ID debit card, and 2 credit cards, a trove of evidence hinting at his desperate state. As news of the killings spread through Aurora and the greater Denver area, Joseph's options for escape dwindled. Tips began to pour into the Aurora Police Department. Among the first credible leads was a call from Joel, Joseph's cousin. He recounted a chilling encounter. Early on the morning of the murders, Joseph had knocked frantically on his bedroom window, pleading for help. Instinctively sensing something was amiss, Joel refused Joseph entry when he appeared at the front door, asking to stay for a while. Instead, Joel reluctantly handed Joseph a pair of green sneakers. Joseph left, repeatedly mumbling that he had messed up and exhibiting signs of being under the influence of drugs. That night, with temperatures plummeting and no shoes on his feet, Joseph had traveled considerable distances. This raised suspicions that he may have had an accomplice aiding in his escape. The investigation quickly pivoted toward Joseph's brothers. While his older brother provided a solid alibi for the night in question, his younger brother, Juan Angel Castorina, was notably evasive, avoiding contact with authorities. Eventually, police managed to bring Juan in for questioning, where it was revealed that he had indeed given Joseph a ride away from the crime scene, complicating the case further. In a startling twist, Joseph Castorina's younger brother, Juan Angel Castorina, initially evaded the police. However, the inevitable moment arrived when he was brought in for questioning. During the investigation, it emerged that Juan had provided Joseph with a ride away from the scene of the crime, intertwining his fate with the unfolding tragedy. In a desperate attempt to evade capture, Juan Angel Castorina traveled not only to Jesus' house, but also to neighboring Denver. There, he deceitfully introduced Joseph Castorina as his cousin Carlos Flores. This act of complicity would lead to Juan's arrest, as he faced charges as an accessory after the fact to 4 brutal murders. Following an anonymous tip, FBI agents and other law enforcement personnel stormed Flores's workplace. The intelligence indicated that Flores had been discussing the chilling details of how his cousin had just committed a heinous act, taking the lives of 4 individuals. Once apprehended, Carlos Flores recounted to investigators his futile attempts to distance himself from Joseph. He revealed that he had tried to pass Joseph off to other family members, but they refused to assist. Ultimately, in the dead of night, he abandoned Joseph near a school, leaving him with only a couple of blankets and a handful of cash. With no clear direction, Juan had no idea where Joseph was headed or how he would continue his flight. Carlos Flores would also face charges as an accessory after the fact, having aided in Joseph's escape. It would be nearly 6 weeks before the collaborative efforts of the FBI Mexican Immigration Services and federal police would begin to yield leads on Joseph's whereabouts. Rumors surfaced, suggesting that Joseph had made his way to Zacatecas State in central North Mexico. It is believed that he sought to reconnect with family members in the region, only to find himself rejected. Alarmingly, these relatives alerted local authorities of his presence. At a family funeral for his grandfather the previous year, Joseph had already begun to isolate himself from his cousins, setting the stage for his eventual downfall. Joseph Castorina found himself increasingly isolated, even amongst distant family members who had once supported him. His notoriety had bred contempt, leaving him without a safe harbor. In a desperate bid to evade capture, he ventured further south into the remote regions of Mexico. As he crossed into Aguascalientes, the 5'4", slight man marked by a conspicuous lion's head tattoo etched onto the side of his neck immediately drew the attention of local authorities. On December 10, 2022, the chase came to an abrupt end when police apprehended him. Joseph was now in custody, facing a future that seemed all but certain as extradition loomed over him, likely back to Phoenix, Arizona, where he would be handed over to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. Meanwhile, investigators from the Aurora Police Department made their way from Colorado, intent on interviewing Joseph. The atmosphere was thick with tension as they approached him, their words carefully measured. "I know it's been a long day for you, probably for us as well," one officer began, attempting to ease the weight of the moment. "Are you okay with talking to us?" he inquired gently. Joseph hesitated, then replied, "I am, but do you have an attorney?" A flicker of apprehension crossed his face as he added, "No, but I would like to get one. Yeah." The officer continued, "I understand that you're currently under federal hold, and I'm trying to figure out how that works. So, would you be going to Colorado, or—" The uncertainty hung in the air, heavy and unresolved. "Yeah, I'm not really sure how that process works," Joseph admitted, his voice quiet. "You might need to consult with a federal attorney first," he added, his eyes darting away as he considered the implications. "I'm not certain if it's a federal attorney you need," the investigator countered. "It might be a steep process." "Okay, so obviously we came from Colorado, and we would really like to hear your side of the story." They pressed gently. "We've talked to quite a few of your family members. Mom, are you just unwilling to share your side with us? Or is there something else going on?" The question hung in the air, a probing search for truth. Joseph's discomfort was palpable as he responded, "Well, to be honest, I just feel uncomfortable speaking without an attorney present. It's just how I'm feeling right now." In a chilling revelation, Joseph claimed that the Mexican police had treated him roughly, a stark contrast to the assurances provided by the Colorado police. "I guess we were told you were talking to the Mexican authorities, but not really, not really." "No," he confessed, revealing the depths of his plight.